So today we're going to talk about powers and exponents. So this should be a full review from last year. So remembering the objectives are I can use powers to describe repeated multiplication, and language objective is I can write a power using words and also identify the vocabulary that we're going to go through here in a moment. First, I want you to take a second and write everything down underneath the objectives line, and then I will go over the vocabulary. So the vocabulary, we have base, exponent, factor, and power. So I'm going to label each of those on our example here. We have 7 to the third power, and that equals 7 times 7 times 7. Or you could read that 7 cubed, and that would equal still 7 times 7 times 7. And we'll talk about the cube part in a moment. So 7 to the third power, the 7 is your base. So make sure you label the 7 and the whole thing here, I should say, is the power. And 7 is the base of the power, and 3 is the exponent. So I'm going to have to write a little small here, exponent. And then we have our factors, however many of them you need. In this case, since it's cubed, we need 3 factors. So again, the base is the number that's repeated, so it's the big number. The exponent shows you how many factors to use. I'm going to do 7 3 times. And then we have exponential form and standard form. So exponential form is just what it sounds like, exponent. So making sure you write it with an exponent. There's 7 to the third power. Standard form would be, what number is that? Well, that's 343. So that would be the standard form of 7 to the third power. Moving on. So writing the product in exponential form. So these are a whole bunch of repeated multiplication problems, and we can shorten that up by using exponential form. So exponents are a shortcut to multiplication, just like multiplication is a shortcut for addition. So up here, when we're doing these, it's just count how many factors you have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 factors. So this will be, the 13 is the base, and I have 4 factors for the exponent. And then the next one, I count how many factors I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factors. Now this has 0.2, and that's 3 different symbols for one number, 2 tenths. So when you're writing your base, we want to group all those symbols. All of those symbols were repeated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, so it's an exponent of 6. And you can do the same thing for variables. Just count how many factors you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have n, which is my base, 10 times. And you can do the same thing with negative numbers, so which we'll be studying more deeply next chapter, but it's kind of the same as decimals. I have 2 symbols to represent -3. So when I put my base over here, I want to put parentheses around it to know that the whole thing is being repeated. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Okay, so just right now we're just making sure we can write in exponential form. Now we're going to evaluate our powers. And the first thing I'm going to do is show you a video of how to do this on 2 different calculators. So hopefully you have one of each. If you don't all have a calculator right now, make sure you pause the video, get a calculator, and then start it back up. So let me go to the internet to show you a video. Okay, so here is the TI-30X2S. This is the one that most of you probably have, or the ones that I have in my classroom. So to do this, we're going to watch the video, but I'm going to talk because it's easier if I do it. So I'm going to turn the volume off. Okay. So when watching the video, she's going to do 2 to the third power. So instead of typing 2 times 2 times 2, or I'm sorry, 12 to the third power. Instead of typing 12 times 12 times 12 into her calculator, she's going to use the caret key. So you'll notice she's going to type in 12 down here, and then the caret key, which is right here. Whoops, I guess you can't see that. It's the caret key like this. 12, caret, and then 3. And then hit enter, and you should get 1,728. So now I want you to pause the video and I'll try typing in 12 caret 3 and make sure you get the same number. 1,728. The caret key is right here. Oh, I need to get a different color every time. Right there on your calculator. Now, some of you have a different calculator, so I'm going to do that one next. Okay, some of you have this TI-30XA, and it's a little more tricky to remember how to do it, so we're going to go through which button to use. He's going to do, well, now I've forgotten what problem. I think 2 to the third power. Yes, he's going to do 2 to the third power. So, 2 to the third power. So instead of writing 2 times 2 times 2, he's going to use the Y to the X button, which is what he's pointing to right here. Okay. So let's watch as he does it. You have to. It doesn't show up on the screen as nicely as the other calculator. So you'll see he put in 2, and then he pushes the Y to the X button, and then 3. And he gets 8. So you won't be able to see all this typed into your calculator right away, but you have to know that first you push the base, and then the exponent button, and then the exponent. Okay, so now I want you to pause the video and try this on your calculator. You should get 8 as a result. And all of you should write down what the process is for whichever calculator you have as your own. All right, now back to our lesson. So we're going to be able to not only write in exponential form, I want you to be able to evaluate and read powers as well. So this right here is 9 to the third power in words. That's one way. So one way to do that is 9 to the third power. Or you could do 9 to the power of 3. And then the shortcut that many of us use is 9 cubed. Because a cube has 3 different types. They have length, width, and depth, 3 different dimensions. So we have, the width, the height, and the length. And so if these were all 9, the volume would equal 9 times 9 times 9, and the shortcut is just writing 9 cubed. So we say 9 cubed, that's what you'll hear me say. But all three of those are proper ways to read it. So the factors of 9 to the third are 9 times 9 times 9. Be careful, some people like to do 9 times 3. And then you have to evaluate that. So go ahead and put in your calculator, whichever one you had. It's either going to be 9 caret key 3, or it's going to be 9y to the x power and then 3. So whichever one, type it in your calculator and evaluate your power. Find the answer. Okay, you should have gotten 729. Now we're going to do the same thing down here. We have 3 to the 4th power, so that's the way you would read this. 3 to the 4th power, or 3 to the power of 4. Well, 4. And we don't have a 4th dimension, so that's the only way to say it. There's 9 cubed, there's squared if you have 2 dimensions, and then there aren't 4 dimensions, so we just say 3 to the 4th power, or anything higher than that, we just read as is. So 3 to the 7th power, 10 to the 15th power, whatever. And the factors of 3 to the 4th power are 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 4 of the base. Now to evaluate this one, be careful. A lot of people see 3 and 4 and go 12. But remember, we're doing 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, not adding them, we're multiplying them. So again, type in your calculator 3 to the 4th power and practice evaluating the power. You should have gotten 81. Make sure you got 81. All right, moving on. Oh, we did how to do that already, so I can skip that. So remember, like I was saying, we have cubes and squares when we talk about exponents. So that's often a shortcut for doing the volume of cubes and squares. So let's start with the cube because that's what we focused on earlier. The volume of a cube. So if a cube is special because all the sides are the same. So this would be the side length here is S, the height is going to be S, and the width is going to be S. So they're all three dimensions are exactly the same. So the formula is just volume is side cubed, no matter what the side length is. So down here, instead of doing 30 times 30 times 30 to find our volume, we can just do volume equals 30 cubed, type that into your calculator, find out what you get. You should have gotten 27,000. And then we need units, centimeters, and since this is volume, that's why we put that little 3 dimensions, cubic units. So 27,000 centimeters cubed. Now squared is kind of the same thing, except for since there's only 2 dimensions, you have a length and a width that are both whatever number you want. So the area of the square is side squared with a 2, because we have 2. Length times width. And so the shortcut is, instead of doing 17 times 17, we can just do 17 squared and find our answer. So go ahead and calculate that on your calculator. And you should have gotten 289. Make sure you know how to use your calculator. It will help a little bit with the homework tonight. Okay, and we've got a word problem. An artist used a cube-shaped block of ice to make an ice sculpture for a competition. Find the volume of the block of ice. And we know we can do this super quickly now, because we know that 20 times 20 times 20 is really 20 to the 3rd power. Type that in your calculator. See what you get. You should get 8,000. And since this is a word problem, make sure you write a sentence and a label. So this is inches cubed. So the sentence would be, the volume of a block of ice is 8,000 inches cubed. And you can use the abbreviations for inches cubed. Okay, your homework is here, a couple challenge problems since this is the basics, and you may use your calculator for this assignment. Make sure you read the directions carefully and some of the first problems are really basic.